Hello guys, welcome to my Python tutorial. This Python tutorial is meant for the absolute beginner. If you have not written any Python code before now, um, this is your starting point. Um, I'm going to be taking you from the absolute nothing to becoming a professional Python developer. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that anytime I post a video, you get notified. If this is the first time you're coming through this channel, I want you to also subscribe. Now let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to get an IDE. Now, an IDE is a special software that we can use to write our code and also run it. And for IDE, I will be making use of the Visual Studio Code. I'll not be showing how to get the Visual Studio Code in this particular video, but if you want to get to know how to install Visual Studio Code, just go to some of my videos that I will tag in the video description. You will see how to install Visual Studio Code. The first thing is we have an IDE and I have to create a folder, and I call the folder Python tutorial. I am going to drag this folder to the Visual Studio Code and drop it there. And Visual Studio Code, the folder is going to open with Visual Studio Code, as you can see here. Let's get rid of these ones. So this is our folder. Now we need to make sure that we have Python on our system. So we are going to install Python if you don't have Python on your system. And to install Python, you should go to python.org. Now when you get to python.org, you'll see a page like this. Just hover your cursor on the downloads. You're going to see the latest Python available for download. Note that Python 3.9 cannot be used on Windows 7 or earlier. So you cannot use Python 3.9 and above on Windows 7 or earlier. So Windows 7, Windows XP, Windows 2000 and all those Windows cannot run from Python 3.9 and above. Okay, so here we click on Python 3.13.5 and wait for it to download. Now Python is downloading, as you can see here. I'm going to pause this video until the download is done. Now our download is done, so we can actually go to the downloads here, or you can go to the folder, or you just click here. So let's just click here. And a window like this is going to pop up, and this will tell you to, for me, I already have Python 3.13.0 before, and this is Python 3.13.5, and it's going to recommend to me to upgrade. For you, you're going to see two options like customize and follow the default process. You can just click on the follow the default process, but for me, I am going to click on the upgrade. Alright, the installation was successful, so we can close this place. Now let's go to our IDE and do Control J or Control backtick, whichever one. Either you use Control J or you use Control backtick. And here we just type Python space dash dash version and press enter, and you can see what we have here is Python 3.1.3.5. So our Python is working. Right now, let's begin by writing our first Python code. Now, what is Python? Python is a general purpose programming language. Now, when we say general purpose programming language, we mean that you can use Python for almost anything. Python can be used to build a website, so you can use Python for web development. We have so many frameworks like Fast API, Django, Flask, Bottle, Web2Py, and so many other web frameworks of Python. Then, Python can also be used for mathematics and scientific analysis like data science, data analysis, data visualization, and data processing. Python can also be used for software development. We can use Python for desktop application, mobile applications like Android, iOS, and so on. We can also use Python for things like cybersecurity, robotics and automation, scraping, and so many things. So that makes Python a general purpose programming language. So we can use it for virtually anything, and even AI is also built with Python. You can use Python to also create games using Python frameworks like Pygames and so on. So Python is everywhere, everywhere. And one advantage of using Python is that Python can run in anywhere, no matter the operating system. It can run on Windows, on Mac, on Linux, on Chromebook, anywhere. So that makes it a versatile language. All right, enough of theory. Let's go to practice. So we can come here and create a new file. Let's call it main.py. Press enter, and let's write the first Python syntax. So we are going to do something like this: print hello world. Let's run this Python. So you can run this Python either by clicking on this place to run Python. But if you don't have this play icon, come to your extension button and look for Python extension and install it. So this is Python extension. It is created by Microsoft, and this is the number of people that are using it. Over 177 million people has installed this package. So you install it, and once you install it, you will see this play icon, and if you click on the play icon, it's going to run Python, as you can see here, and this is our code running hello world. So this is one method of running Python. All right, now let's look at the second method of running Python. So to run Python with our command line, we can either use PowerShell, or you use git bash, command prompt, or any other terminal of your choice. Here you just call Python and then mention the name of the Python file, which in my case is main.py, and press enter, and you can see hello world. And next time, if I want to run this code again, I don't need to type it again. I only need to press arrow up in my keyboard, and it's going to visit the last command that I had typed. And if I press enter again, it runs it again. So this is how to run a Python file. All right, let's look at how to make a comment on Python. A comment is basically used by developers to document their code or their code structure. Comments are very important because they tell the programmer or the developer what they did at a particular place, or they also give clue to another developer, making it easy for another developer to take up the management of a particular program. So writing a comment on Python, we can actually use the hash to write a one-line comment. Python does not support a multi-line comment. So if you want to make a multi-line comment, you just have to continue with your hash. You continue with your hash. Each of the lines that you jump, the comment is no longer active. So anything that you create within this line is no longer going to be a comment. For instance, if I say print, this is Python script, and I run this code again, you can see this is a Python script, and then you can now see hello world. And this is because Python runs line by line from top to bottom. Line by line from top to bottom. And again, if you look at the quotes that I used on the first line, it is double quote. But if you look at the second line, or the second line with hello world, not the second line actually, but on the fourth line, you would see this is a single quote. And each of them runs perfectly, indicating that Python can use single or double or single quotes to print strings or to print sentences. Let's leave it as sentences. All right, let's go over to the next part of this training, which is Python variables. Let's make a comment. Say Python variables. Python variables. Now, a variable is a container that stores a value. Any container that can store a value and the value is prone to change, that is a variable. Now, a variable makes it easy for us to be able to store things that we can use or reuse within our code. For instance, we can store a variable with name of a student and age of a student so that we don't have to write it again. We can store the values within that variable and mention the variable anytime we need it. Let's see how we can do that. Let's have a variable called age, and let's say that this age is 30 and name is Alice. Now, if you look at this, equality sign here. This does not signify equality. It doesn't mean that age is equal to 30, nor the name is equal to elix, but it actually entails what we call assignment. So this shows that we have assigned age to be 30. So the container of age, we take a value called 30, and the container of name, we take a value called Ellis, and that is what it is. So if we now do print and we say print the age, and if you look at the age closely, you will notice that it wasn't wrapped in quotes just like this. We don't have it this way, but rather we have it this way, and this is because this particular 30 here is an integer or a number variable. What Python call it is integer because it's a whole number. And once you wrap this in quotes like this, it becomes a statement or what you can call a string in Python. And making it a string, you cannot use it for mathematical operations except you convert it back to an integer or a whole number again. So that's why we leave it this way, because we may decide to use this for mathematical operations, and this is integer. These are two different data types. So we have age. Let's print the age, and you can see it gives us 30. If we want to print the name, we can say print name, and we run this code again, you see 30, you see Alice. And this because anytime we want to call Alice, you have to call the name. All right, let's do something very interesting. Print my name is name and my age is age. So what we are doing right now is look at what we have. My name is Alice and my age is 30. Simple, right? Okay, if we change the value of age to 12, then if we run this code again, we'll see my name is Alice and my age is 12. So you no longer need to always constantly change the value from here, but rather once the variable container changes, the value that will be outputted will change, and that is the essence of using a variable. A variable can be redeclared or reassigned. So let's reassign this variable. If we call age again and we say that it is 23 this time, if you run this code, it will give us 23. And then it abandons the 12 and gives us 23. Now this is because Python runs from top to bottom, and running from top to bottom makes it that Python is going to come to this place and say, okay, the age is 12, and here, okay, the age is now 23. It is going to throw away the 12 and take 23, and that is what reassignment of Python variable is. Now let's understand the scopes of variable. Variable naming must follow a particular convention. So the first convention is that a variable name must be alphanumerical, which means that a variable name can be alphabets with numbers like this. A variable name must start with a letter and not a number. It must start with a letter or underscore. So this means that you cannot start a variable name with a number like this. You can see my Visual Studio Code says statement must be separated by new lines. And that is because you cannot use a number to create a variable or to start a variable name. But a number can appear anywhere within the name of this variable and it will work perfectly. But there should not be any case of starting a variable with a number. You cannot start a variable with a hyphen, but you can start with an underscore character. So a variable name can start with underscore. A variable name can start with capital letter, and know it that variable names are case sensitive, which means that age as stated here is different from age as stated here. Now let's try it. Age space age. All right, let's see. And you can see this is 23 and this is 12. And that's because this age and this age are different ages. So Python is not recognizing that the both of them means the same thing. Because of the case sensitive nature of Python, these two ages are different. Okay? Again, you cannot give a space. Let's say you want to name something that has two names, like something like student age. You cannot give a space to separate the two keywords. Python will not recognize it, but you can do it this way using Pascal case or camel case, sorry. So here you have the first letter of each of the words starting with capital letters. Again, you can also use Pascal case, which the second letter or the second word, the first letter of the second word starts with capital letter, while the other one starts with small letters. So this can also work. You can also use underscore to separate them. This will also work. So these are how you can name a variable. Okay, let's look at the Python data types. There are so many data types in Python, but these are the basic ones that we can look at. The first is the integer data type. These are whole numbers. The float data type. These are decimal floating points or decimal numbers. We also have complex. These are complex numbers. String, which are alphanumerical data types. Boolean, which is true or false. It is basically used for logical operations or making decisions. List is a collection data type, same thing with tuple, sets, and dictionary. Each of these things has their methods or their usages. So let's begin with the integer. We can have something like this: print type 10. And then let's try this: print type float. Let's have this: print type string and true. Let's try this. Let's also try this. And these are basically different data types. So we are printing 10, which is a whole number, and this is supposed to be integer. So the type that we have within here is going to give us the type of data or the data type that the value within the parentheses is. So this is a decimal value, so this is going to return a float. While this is alphanumerical, so let's say hello 56, because this is alphanumerical data. Then this is true, while this is a list of numbers. This is a tuple of numbers. This is a set of numbers. And this is a dictionary with key and value. Now let's print and see this. Before that, let's clear this and let's run our Python code. And you can see that the first line, which is this, gave us int representing integer. Second one gave us float representing float numbers. So float numbers are decimal numbers. The third represents string, which are alphanumerical data, which means alphabets and numbers, but they are wrapped in quotes, either single or double quote. The fourth one gave us boolean, that's boolean, which is true or false. Even if you change this to false, it's still going to give us boolean. And then the next line shows us a list, followed by the next one, which is a tuple, and then the next one, which is a set. And finally, we have the dictionary. So these are the different data types. Now let's begin with numbers, and that is going to be float, int, and complex. Let's look at that. Now, let's have a variable x and assign it to be 5 and y as 10. Now, let's say we have z, which is going to be x plus y, and let's print the sum of x and y is z. So what we are doing here is that we have the 5 as x and then 10 as y, and then z is x plus y. So we are summing the value of 5 and 10, and this is going to give us 15. So if we print z, it's going to give us the value of 5 plus 10, which is going to be 15. And this one here is a statement indicating that the sum of x and y is z. So let's run this code and see what we have. And this is sum of 5 and 10 is 15. So we can actually sum this. But what if we wrap this in quotes like this? We are going to get error, and this error is called a type error. And if you look closely, it tells us where this error is coming from, and this error is coming from line 4, where we have z is equal to x plus y. Look at it here, line 4. This is where the error is coming from, which means if I should comment this off and remove this, I should have my code running perfectly, as you can see here. But then if I should also uncomment this, why am I getting this error? This is because the data type here is not an integer but rather a string. Let's see if this is a string actually. Let's comment this line and print the type of X and run this code. Okay, we should also comment this. Let's now run this code, and you can see it gave us string, a class of string, because actually X right here is a string. But if I change it to 5 like this without quotes and run this again, it gave us int. And this is because when you wrap a number in quotes, either double or single quote, it becomes a string. But when you leave it the way it is a number or an integer. And that is just why we are getting that error. Okay, I hope this is gotten, and I hope this solves the problem. All right, so we can still even do something like this. Let's have the first number. A is 3 and B is 4, and let's say that C is B minus A, and let's print C. Let's see what this will give us, and it returned 1. So this is returning 1 because what we actually did here is that we said 4 minus 3, because B is 4 and A is 3. So B minus A is going to give us 1, and we are printing their value as C. Okay. We can also do multiplication with this, and this is going to give us 12. It's giving us 12 because 4 times 3 is going to give us 12. We can also do 4 raised to power of 3. If you want to do raised to power, it's going to be something like this. So double asterisk represents raised to power, and 4 raised to the power of 3, I think it is going to be let's see, 64. That is 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. That is going to be the value. We can also do 4 divided by 3 like this, and that is going to give us 1.33333 and so on. If you use your calculator, you would find out this is also the value. And we can also find the remainder when 4 is divided by 3 with the modulus. And when you do something like this, it doesn't represent percentage, but it's actually trying to find out the remainder when 4 is divided by 3. And this should give us 1. And this is the answer, because 4, if 3 divides 4, is going to have 1 remainder 1. If we change this to 5, then the remainder is going to be 2, and that's 2 here, as you can see here. So this is what this modulus sign does. Okay, we will see this under the arithmetic operators later on in this course. Please guys, make sure you have subscribed to encourage this channel to bring more updates to you. We have been in this we have been helping people learn different programming languages like Python, JavaScript, and the next we have in line is going to come in, which is going to be Java programming and C programming as well. So if you encourage us, we will continue to present to you the different programming languages, different frameworks through this channel. So make sure to subscribe and encourage us to do more. Subscribe and share our videos with your friends. We share the videos in your communities so that we will get encouraged by your views and your likes on the video. Thank you very much. Let us continue. Now let's move to the next in line, which is going to be let's see Python random number generators. Let's try to generate some random number. So to do that, what we will do is, first of all, we should know that Python doesn't have any special function for random number generation. But Python provides us with a module to create and generate random numbers. So let's do that. First of all, we need to import that module with import random, and then we can actually we can actually do something like this, print random dot rand range. So the range function here is helping us to tell Python from which number to which number do we want to generate. So this is going to be from 1 to 10. Let's see what we have there. You can see we have 2. Let's try again. It gives us 9. Let's try again. It gives us 9. Let's try again. It gives us 7. It gives us 4. It gives us 9. So it is constantly generating random numbers from 1 to 10. And that's just what this is all about. So it tells us where to generate the numbers from. We can also do this way. We can have variables like have a is 0, and then b is let's say 16. Now we can say we want the random number from a to b. This will still generate a random number from 0 to 16. Let's see what will happen. We have 2, we have 7, we have 6, we have 13, and it continues. Another way we can do this is to bring out this outside, cut it off, and assign this as C is this, and we can now print C. So programming is about making decisions. There shouldn't be any specific way of doing a particular thing. You can actually maneuver some certain things just to fit with what your mind tells you. So we can actually run this and we still generate random numbers, and we continue to generate random numbers. So this is the way we can generate a random number. Now let's look at Python strings. Let's create a variable, call it greet, and let's say it is hello world, and let's print greet. And this says hello world. Now this is a string. A string is made of alphanumerical data. It can also contain spaces, like as you can see here, or if you have space here and you run this code, you would notice that we also have those spaces. So this is what a string can look like. Now let's look at try slicing a string. Let's try and slice the string hello. To do that, we can actually do something like this. We can use, let's make this, let's create another variable, call it C, and we're going to use greet, and then with a block bracket, and then we tell it where to start and where to end the slicing. Let's say we want it to start at 1 and end at 4, and we now print C. Let's see the outcome, and this is going to give us L meaning from here to here. So let's see, you can see it gave us ELL, meaning that it has jumped H and it has also omitted O. Now, why did it jump H and omitted O? Now, this is because in Python, when you have something like this, these are lists of characters. Characters are alphabets, and a list is just a collection of values. So when you have a list of characters, it is called a string. And here, accessing this, we have what we call index values. So the first value or the first letter of anything is going to of this string is going to be 0, while this is going to be index of 1, this is going to be index of 2, 3, and index of 4. But how many characters are present here? There are 5 in numbers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 characters, but their index values are from 0 to 4. Now, telling Python that we want to start from the index of 1, and this is index of 0 and this is index of 1. So it's going to start from the index of 1 and it's going to it's going to count 4 characters. So from here, and then it will count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's why it stopped at L. But if we said that this is going to begin from 0, it is going to give us L. Look at it. I hope this is clear. Okay, if we say from this to 5, it is going to print hello, as you can see here. But if we said 2 to 5, and it's going to be 0, 1, 2, so it's going to give us LLO. Let's see, as you can see here, LLO. So this is what we call Python string slicing. But there are some special functions that we can still use to carry out these operations. We will see those methods later on, but let's look more on strings. Now look at this. If we want to change this hello, let's print something like, okay, hello world again. Let's use small case here, hello world, and let's say we want to convert this to an uppercase letter. Let's say the C is going to be greet dot upper. So greet dot upper, we now print C. Let's see what will happen, and you can see everything becomes an uppercase. We also have dot capitalize. So when you want to convert a string to uppercase, you use the dot upper method. We can also capitalize using dot capitalize. In this case, all the first words becomes capital letters. So even if we have H here in small letter and we run this code, you can see it is now the capital H. Okay, so we also have the lower. So let's change to lowercase. If you use lower, this is going to convert this whole thing to lower cases. You can see this is small letter H and small letter W. So this is how we can change the cases of our string. Again, we can have some spaces here, and you know that if we go ahead to print greet, the spaces are going to also get printed. But for any reason we don't want to print these spaces, we can use the dot stripe. So if I attach dot stripe method, this will remove all the white spaces. So if we run this code, you will no longer see these white spaces. So this is very important when you are collecting a form, when you are collecting responses from a user, because sometimes the users may mistakenly add some white spaces on their let's say their username or maybe their passwords. So what you do is you use the dot stripe to remove any extra spaces. If you want to replace any letter from a string, then you use the dot replace method, replace. And you have to first of all tell it the letter that you want to replace, and also tell it the letter that you want to use to replace it. So let's say we want to replace H with G, and in that case all the H that is found in the string is going to be replaced by G. And here you can see the H has been replaced by G. So this is a Python method used to replace a string character. Again, for any reason you want to separate two characters from, or two words from a string, in that case we use the dot split. And we are going to remove anything here, and if we run this code, it is going to return a list. And if you look at the list, this is hello separate. You can see it has single quotes, and this is words separate. It also has single quotes. So we have splitted the two words from the sentence. Now let's look at how we can concatenate a string. Now, concatenation means forming a chain of values or combining two or more strings together. So in this, we can actually create some words. Let's create the first word, greet, and this is going to be hello. And then let's create another word which is going to be somto, and we have two strings and we want to concatenate the both of them. So let's say that greeting is greet plus let's remove this first, greet plus name, and then let's print the greeting. Now if we run this code, we will have hello somto, but there is no space between the hello and the somto, just this way. It gave us something like this. And this means that if we want to have a space between them, we should also create an empty string like this and give the space within it, and then concatenate the both of them like this. So what we did here is we have a string which is greet, and then we have a space which is here, and then the name. So when we run this code, it is going to give us hello somto now with a space at the middle. This space is coming from this empty string here. Now, there are other ways we can do this same concatenation. We can remove the plus and use just the comma. In this case, if we give just a space here, this space is going to reflect. As you can see here, you can see, but what it did is that it gave us hello as a separate value and somto as a separate value, as you can see with their single quotes. And this is giving us a form of a tuple of values. So this is not similar to what we just did in concatenation. So if we do undo, this is what concatenation can look like. But there is a special way we can output something like this without having to, pass through all these things. Now let me say that we have age, and the age is 25, and we want to say hello somto and then let's concatenate with a space, and also now say with a string here, we can use single quote, your age is, then we can give the space here and then say plus age. And in this case, if we run this code, it's going to give us error, and the error is going to be because we should not be able to concatenate between string and integer. There should not be a way of we should not concatenate between string and integer. Let's see what the response will be like. Look at, we have another type error. So I want you to take note of the errors, the error message. We have been seeing type error since the inception of this class. We have been seeing type error. And what is type error? Type error is when you are doing something that invalidates the data type of any Python input or output. And it says can only concatenate string and not integer to string. So we can only concatenate strings to string and not what? Integer. So this 25 here is an integer, and that's why we cannot concatenate it. But if we should convert it to a string this place, then this code is going to run, and you can see hello Somto, your age is 25. And that's because we have converted this to 25. I hope this is clear. So also take note of the space here in the concatenation. This space is the space we are seeing here. But in a case we didn't add this space here, then we must have the plus and empty string like this to also return the same value. I hope that's clear. But in case we also want to have 25 here, we don't want to alter the variable, but we want the variable to still work without throwing up error. In that case, we need to convert this variable into a string using the str method or function. The str, and then we wrap the age within the str, and this is what we call casting. The casting converts from one data type to another, and in this case it is converting the integer data type from here to a string here. So if we run this code now, we're not going to get any error because this age has become a string here, but it doesn't affect the real value here in case we want to also print age, or rather print the type of age. If we run this code, you will see that age is still integer, but within this greeting variable it is a string. So this is retaining the data type in the age while also solving the problem of concatenation. But in a case where we don't want to suffer ourselves with concatenation like this, we can actually make everything easy. And if you want the data type int and string to to come together as one sentence without you having to convert to a string as you did here, in that case what we should do is we can actually use what we call string formatting. So let's say greeting is, and we are going to use F, and then we can either use single quotes or double quotes. And here we are going to, if you want to call on any variable at all, then let's say we want to call on greet, we can just use curly bracket, and within this curly bracket we can specify the greet variable, and we can say this is hello. We can also bring in another one, name, and say you are age years old. So in this case, the space here is going to always reflect. This is one of the best way of presenting your string concatenation. Although this may not be regarded as concatenation, but it does the same job. So let's print the greeting. Print greeting. If we run this code again, we now have hello Somto, you are 25 years old. So there is no problem of data type string not concatenating with the int, but everything works perfectly, and this is what we call string format. And know it that you can also use single quotes to return the same thing, or double quotes. So whichever way you want to use it is acceptable. Let's look at the escape values of a string. Let's say we want to print a sentence like this, and we say we are the so-called Vikings from the north. Now, if we remove these escapes here and we want to print this, it is going to throw up an error, and this is syntax error. So when you have syntax error, it actually means you are making a mistake either in your spelling or the way you are doing it. So you can't have a double quote inside a double quote. But what if we use single quotes? Can this still work? It worked. What if we also use single quotes here, and then we come to this place and use double quotes? This will work. So always maintain using different quotes. So you can use double quotes outside and single quote inside. But in case you want to use just double quotes and double quotes, then you should use this backslash. You should use backslash like this, like this, So in this case, this backslash starts before the quote, telling this that we want to print including the double quote as part of the string. And in that case, if you run this code, you would see everything works, and it doesn't print this backslash. Again, if you want the not to be printed below, maybe in another line, we can actually use \n to indicate that we want to print the not at the line below. So if we run this code, you will see we are the so-called Vikings from, and then it jumps a line from the not. So if you want the not also to be in another separate line, that's \n. And if you look at this, we have another n here, but it doesn't compromise it. And you can see we have it on another line. In our next class, we will be looking at the string methods. For now, the video is getting long. We will see in another class. Please make sure you have subscribed and you hit on the notification bell so that anytime I post a video, you get notified. Try to like this video and share it with your friends in your community so that other people will see this video. I'll see you in our next class. Take care.